he was gonna pull him. You didn't talk to him?
Did I commit to that?
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's all right.
I thought you came back and said that Paul said you can't do anything.
No, I hadn't talked to Paul. Yeah, we're not certified. That's all right.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome on a rainy day in Georgia, or rainy night, I guess we should say. We're getting ready to begin our council work session for the month of April. Roll call tonight. We have everyone with us, and Brandon's running in now. Bill Duvall is out of town, and he can't be with us. So everybody is here except for Bill. We need approval of a new agenda. We need a motion to approve. We have a motion. We have a second. We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, agenda is approved. And now we'll hurriedly move, because she lately has been taking half of the meetings. Guess that's just the way it is. We'll go to Lisa Newberry, Planning and Development Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. We have two cases for tonight. The first one is the Uprise Development, and then the next one is Manor Restoration. And I just want to make sure everyone understands that these were both in process before the moratorium, so that's why we will continue to process them until they're completed. So Robbie's going to read the Uprise Development into the record.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and just read all four cases into the record now, so officially read into the record. The first case before you will be case A24-023, Uprise Development LLC requests annexation of property located at 4332 Tom Brooks Road, Loganville. Map and parcel number C0040009A00, Walton County, Georgia, 9.34 acres. Second case is case number A24-025, Uprise Development LLC requests annexation of property located at 4332 Tom Brooks Road, Loganville, Georgia. Map and parcel number R4216001, Gwinnett County, Georgia, 0.83 acres. You also have case number A24-027, Uprise Development LLC requests annexation of property located at 4550 Tuck Road, Loganville, Georgia. Map and parcel number C0040009, Walton County, 47.15 acres. And then the last case for this particular project is the Uprise Development LLC filed an application to rezone 9.34 acres located on Tom Brooks at 433 Tom Brooks Road, Loganville, Georgia. Map and parcel number C0040009A00, Walton County, Georgia. 47.15 acres located at 4550 Tuck Road, Loganville, Georgia. Map parcel number C0040009, Walton County, Georgia. 0.83 acres located on 4332 Tom Brooks Road, Loganville, Georgia. Map parcel number R4216001, Gwinnett County, Georgia. 2.53 acres located at 4500 Tuck Road, Loganville, Georgia. Map and parcel number LG060188. And 8.07 acres located on Tuck Road, Loganville, Georgia. Map and parcel number LG060189. The property owners are T.N. Brooks, O.H. Brooks, Benny Stevenson, trustee, Marson Holdings, LLC, and Uprise Development, LLC. The current zoning is A2/B3/R100/CH and vacant. And the requested zoning is for planned urban village for the development of a mixed-use project. This project was recommended for denial by staff and Planning Commission. The applicant asked to be tabled last month to discuss some of the concerns that everybody had for Tuck Road. That discussion went well. The staff worked with the applicant in determining that they will be required to upgrade Tuck Road to match the improvements that GDOT is doing on that road leading up to their project. And they will still have to put a left turn lane and a decel lane into the project as well.
Okay, thank you, Robbie. So at this time, I'd like to declare this portion of the meeting open for a public hearing, and I'd like to ask if the applicant is here and would like to come to the podium and tell us about your project.
Good. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Andrea Gray, and this evening I have the pleasure of representing Uprise Development and its request for a planned urban village called Brooks Landing. As poor Robbie just had to read, we have a four-part request for this project. We have two annexations through Walton County, one for Gwinnett, and then we're asking to rezone our totality of 5 parcels, which total 67.69 acres, for the planned urban village, which includes 99 single-family homes, 60 townhomes, and 16,000 square foot of commercial space. And the location of the project, there's 2 addresses on Tuck Road, one on Tom Brooks Road. As you know, it's just north of Highway 20 on Tuck Road. It's directly across the street, Tuck Road, from the Tuck Farm development that you recently approved with the mixed uses there. So we feel like we're in a great location. It definitely complements what is most recently approved by this council. The zoning, as Robbie also mentioned, we have a mixture of zoning on this property because part of it is in Walton, Gwinnett, and the city of Loganville. But oddly enough, it does kind of fit what we're doing here, right? So we're doing a mixed-use development with some pieces being commercial and some residential. And so that's kind of a mixed match of what already is there, but we're just asking to unify that into the PUV designation. Again, our uses within the PUV, you can see on the site plan here, on Tuck Road, and the orangey yellow kind of color there is the commercial portion. It's 2 8,000 square feet buildings there. Again, in the green color, you see 99 single-family homes, and the lighter yellow are the 60 townhomes, and then we've got nearly 25 acres of open space. The single-family homes will, of course, be in compliance with your ordinance for the PUV, but you've got some fairly high architectural type standards with 90% brick, stone, stucco, or fiber cement siding. We will, of course, have the brick or stone water tables as required. They're 9,000 square foot lots, and we've designed them such that we could fit 4 cars per driveway in an attempt to make sure that there's not cars parking along the streets there. And these are some representative photos, of course, you know, this is a likeness of what they would be once finally designed. The townhomes, again, we're proposing 3-bedroom townhomes. We will, of course, meet all the ordinance standards for architectural features, and these are some representative photos of what those will look like with the mix of brick and fiber cement siding. Commercial, again, we're having 2 8,000 square foot buildings, and with, again, the attractive design as required by your ordinance. Amenities in the development, we'll have 2 pickleball courts, a swimming pool, a community meeting area by the pool with bathrooms there, walking trails, and then also dog walking trails. And you can see from the site plan, we've nestled that back into the community so that it's not burdensome or loud for our adjoining property owners. Other things we've done to mitigate impacts to adjoining property owners. First, the commercial is pushed up against Tuck Road so that it's not disturbing any of the surrounding residential properties. We're adding privacy fence where residential portions of the property abut property that we don't own. Again, we have 24 acres, 25 acres of open space, which is a good buffer from our other neighbors. At the Planning Commission meeting, we had a letter written, and then we had one property owner, Mr. Antonio, I'm going to murder this last name, Bejarno, came and had concerns about our walking trail being close to their property. In response to that, we proposed a condition that the walking trails be at least 100 feet off of the property boundary areas to give additional buffer there. Also, they're not open to the public. They're just open to people that live in this community. And we're open to further discussions about posting signs or whatever else would make Mr. Antonio feel more comfortable about our development. Access points, so the property has 2 access points on Tuck Road, and as Robbie mentioned, this has been the greatest point of discussion for this project. The Planning Commission did recommend denial because at that time, All they had was the staff report saying that Tuck Road did not meet the requirements to accommodate this development. Since that time, we've had a lot of coordination back and forth with the city. We hired a traffic engineer. We had a sit-down meeting with the city's outside engineers, Keck and Wood, with your road department, with Robbie. Even Danny was able to step in for a few minutes there to talk through what improvements are needed for Tuck Road to accommodate this development. And that all ties into here, what you see is GDOT's plans for improvement to this area. And that includes the roundabout, which you all know is coming, but also the improvements further down Tuck Road as they work the realignment and widen it almost to my client's property boundary. Little closer view here, but you can see the improvements GDOT is undertaking and the green, yellow areas there. So they're taking Tuck Road and widening it from 20 feet wide to 24 feet wide and including 2-foot paved shoulders. So here's what we discussed with the city and city staff and the agreement that we came to with them. Obviously, you're the final decision maker in all things, but what we agreed to was that my client would continue GDOT's improvements from the point where they end it until the end of our property. So that would create, they're designing it to about a 35-mile-per-hour road, again, 24-foot wide with the 2-foot paved shoulders. Also, a concern raised by staff was the timing. Obviously, we can't quite control GDOT's schedule. We'd all like to, but we can't do that. Their latest posted schedule shows letting the project in February 2026 with a completion date out till April of 2028. When we looked at our schedule of development, we kind of mapped it out here for you when we overlaid that with GDOT's schedule, so that our schedule for completing phase 1, which under this ordinance you have to build in 4 phases, right? So you have to do 25% of each use first. So that's phase 1. So our build out projection for phase 1, which is roughly 40 homes and then 4,000 square feet of commercial, is running into June of 2028. So if all things go as planned, we're running perfect parallel paths to have our phase 1 ready at the time that GDOT has all their improvements ready. But we understand, we can't control GDOT's schedule, and we know they've pushed some of your projects back a time or two. And so in order to give you comfort and to make sure the infrastructure is in place to support this development, we're proposing a condition that no more than 25%, so that's phase 1, of this development be constructed prior to my applicant completing improvements on Tuck Road from the end of GDOT's work to the end of its property line. And that's what's in our world of control, right? That's what we can control, and that will help make sure that the traffic is flowing adequately once this development starts coming online. I also asked our traffic engineer to help me make practical sense of what the traffic numbers would look like on Tuck Road before any improvements were made. What does this mean for the people that live in this area, right? You can do traffic counts all day long, but it didn't really mean a lot to me. And so he showed me this statistic, which is called the queue line. So the queue line is how many cars you're waiting behind when you're trying to make a movement at the intersection at Tuck Road and Highway 20. So currently in the morning, there are approximately 1.4 cars in front of you as you're trying to make a movement there. 25% build up for this project would only increase that to 1.7. Likewise, in the afternoon, you've got a few more cars in front of you, about 5.7 cars. With the 25% build out, it would only add, less than 2 cars in that queue line of sorts. And so I guess the point here is to show that, even at 25% build out, we're not making a significant impact on traffic. And that when we are making more of an impact on traffic, the improvements that GDOT has planned will be in place and help mitigate for that additional traffic flow. So again, just to recap, our request is 4 parts to annex 9.34 acres on Tombrook Road for Walton County, to annex 47.15 acres on Tombrook Road from Walton County, annex 0.83 acres on Tombrook Road from Gwinnett County, and to rezone all 5 parcels of land, that's 67.69 acres, to a planned urban village for purposes of developing Brooks Landing. With that request, we're also proposing that the 3 conditions be added to the rezoning. One is the applicant will improve Tuck Road from the end of the GDOT improvements to the end of our property boundary, and that these improvements will match GDOT specifications for what it is already implementing on Tuck Road. Second condition, that no more than 25% of the development be constructed prior to applicant completing the improvements on Tuck Road. And then 3, that the walking trails be limited to use by the property owners in the community, and that they be a minimum of 100 feet from the property boundary. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, and usually what we do is I'll open the, continuing with the public hearing, and then we'll close it and then have questions for the mayor and council.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Andrea. So is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak in favor of this project? Anyone to speak in favor? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Okay, would you please come to the podium and tell us your name and address?
My name is Mark Murray. I live on 4966 Donald Drive. And this development is going to back right up to my property. That's not my only concern. The overcrowding in the area is off the chain. That, from 78, the light from 78 all the way up to North Sharon Church, 5 o'clock it's backed up past North Sharon Church. Today it wasn't. Today was a good day. It only went up to like the Tuck Plantation, and that was pretty good for today. But every day, every morning, it backs up right there. But my biggest concern is it's backing up to my property line. The property line, the property is rich in wildlife. I mean, we have deer, foxes, beavers, otters, blue herons, geese, hawks, and I think it's going to affect the wildlife greatly. We also, and I share it with Antonio, we live on a lake, we share it with 3 houses. It's a beautiful place, it's quiet, it's healthy with fish and other wildlife. And if this goes in, there's going to be people sneaking down there, fishing, they're going to be polluting, and they're going to do it. If it comes in, I mean, if it does get developed, I would hope, I do like the fact that it's 100 feet off the property line. I wish it was a little more. But I hope there's a fence built as well, and a pretty tall fence, because I know we're going to be dealing with trespassers and pollution. But that is my biggest concern. And it's going to be a lot of people. I mean, we're already overcrowded, and these are 3-bedroom houses and townhomes, so.
Mr. Murray, can you show me on here where you live?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just mark them.
Right, all across here.
I know where you live, where's your house?
It's not showing the lines.
Right, just give me a ballpark.
Somewhere in that area.
Somewhere in there?
Right there is the creek that comes
Right.
into my lake,
Okay.
and I own that part of the lake.
Okay, and so there's a lake here?
There is a lake. Oh, yeah, there's a
Is
lake.
that the lake?
So
Okay,
I'd be
you're-
way down here somewhere.
Okay, all right,
And Antonio is on the other side of the lake.
okay, thank you.
And he'd be on that side.
Okay, thank you.
I live on 10 acres. And I know the other neighbors are concerned about it. Unfortunately, a lot of the other neighbors think, well, what are we going to do? They're going to do it anyway. That's their attitude about it. And of course, a lot of them are busy working. You know, they work late, they don't have time to come to a meeting. But, you know, the neighbors are concerned, Antonio's concerned, and my biggest concern is it's a beautiful, quiet area. It's going to disturb, it's going to bring noise, it's going to be crowds, it's going to bring trespassers. And if it does get done, I would hope there would be a fence built around the perimeter of it. Because if you just do one side, they're just going to walk around the fence, so.
Would you have a preference on type of fence? and height?
I don't, well, the chain link would be fine. I would say at least 8 feet. Security fence would be ideal. You know, I think with a privacy fence, I think that'll get run down. It'll be rotting away eventually, and, you know, and they probably won't keep up with the maintenance on it.
Okay.
But I would think, you know, a security fence would be the best, but.
When you say security fence, what?
Well, you know, it's chain link with barbed wire at the top,
Okay,
that kind of
okay.
thing. But at least a tall fence, it's not so easy to climb, you know, so.
I asked if you wanted it to be electric, the fence.
Electric fence would be fine.
Thought you'd like it.
All right.
But
so
I
if
am
we
really
can-
concerned about that, and, you know, it's just a beautiful area, and it's just a shame it's backing up to us, so, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. And if you'll please just tell us your name and your address.
Hello, my name is Antonio Bejarano. I live at 4909 Highway 20. I share the property line for approximately 236 feet on the south side of the property. Here's my concerns. The other big development that was approved last year with the condition of a sidewalk all the way to the park, which is right in front of this development, which means that development have access to the park, which means that, you know, once everything is done, technically the trails is just another extension of the park. And yes, they stating that, you know, only people who live there are gonna use it, but that's gonna be really hard to police it once it's done. And the way the lake is set up right now, only 5 people got access to. By Georgia law, we can't own the water. That's pretty clear. But the lake does not have access from the right-of-way. They only have access either from Mark property, my property, and the neighbors in front of it. And people are gonna do it. I mean, if you just take 1% of the people that's gonna live there, you know, let's just simple math, it's gonna be 500 people. Once it's done, somebody's gonna end up doing it. And guess who's gonna have to deal with that? It will be us. 3 neighbors, 4 neighbors, actually. So, you know, if you guys already set up your mind to say, yeah, at least let's work with the trail. Whether, is the trail actually required to be done there? I don't know who can answer that question. And obviously all the wildlife, which is a big deal also, but, you know, it doesn't directly impact ourselves. The fact that it's gonna have commercial space, which means the trail, access to the trail is gonna affect even the people who live there, because they're not gonna be able to control who actually uses it, or unless I'm missing something else. It's public access, which all you gotta do is Google it, and you see the air view, you're gonna see the lake in there, and somebody's gonna end up doing it. And once it's done, it will be 4 neighbors who's gonna have to deal with trespassers. That's my, and listen, even if they don't agree to the fence, I can put up the fence, but I would have to, just deal with trespassers. That's my biggest concern.
Okay.
And if, I can show you where my property is, if anybody's interested on the map also.
It's near Mark's, right?
Yeah, I share,
Other than the lake.
so, all this is my property and my property comes to the yeah, so it will be 236 feet from this point, this one.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to ask Ms. Andrea if you'd like to come back and speak to any of these comments.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Antonio. Appreciate you coming out tonight and making your comments. Always happy to work with a neighbor and appreciate you making the effort to be out here. We're happy to get rid of that trail. We'll nix it right now. We have, we're just trying to add another amenity to this development. Listening to them, Yeah, it makes sense. Their concerns make sense, right? They make sense about worrying about, people who aren't supposed to be on the trails being on the trails. And so, with that, we're happy to take those out. We're happy to post no trespassing signs along the property. We intentionally did not add a fence here for concern about wildlife movement, right? I mean, this is an area where there's, there are animals, and it is, a wooded area. We're preserving 25 acres of that. And so that was our intent, and not fencing off the back boundary. But yeah, we're happy to take out the trail and happy to post signs. And again, I know Mark showed you where his property is and where Antonio's property is. They're buffered by this 25-acre open space. And so we did make an effort and shift things around in a way to protect that lake area as best that we could. Let's see, just hitting some of the other things brought up. I guess, traffic, of course, we all know why GDOT's doing the improvements, right? Because there is traffic. And I think, those roundabouts on Sharon Church, roundabout on Tuck Road are key improvements to fix the existing challenges. But again, my client's willing to do his part. He's willing to put money on, fixing Tuck Road to meet the standards that need to be met. He's willing to phase his development in a way that allows those improvements to come online so that he is not creating a significant burden on an already challenging problem with traffic. And so, yes, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Okay, thank you. And so at this time, we'll close the public hearing and turn this back over to mayor and council for discussion. Go ahead.
Andrea, can you go, maybe it's slide 13 or 14? I paid attention when I saw the 16, and then it's back a couple from that.
Okay. Like here?
Keep going,
Here?
keep going,
Here?
more. That one, stop
Okay,
right there.
My schedule, yes.
So, the math doesn't work for me. So you said 40 homes by June of 2028, 10 homes every 5 months in November 26, but that's like 18 months. If you do 10 homes a month for 18 months, that'd be 180.
Right. Well, I mean, as shown on the schedule here, we've got a significant amount of time put in the front end for site development, utilities, planning, all the permitting and things. So we're actually not, starting construction, as shown, November 2026. And then we just did 5-month increments, so 5 times 10, it's 40, right? 10 homes over that period of time.
Right, but 5 times 10 would be 50. And
So I
you're
think they're saying there's gonna be 10 homes built every 5 months. So if there's 18 months divided by 5, that would be 36 homes roughly. They've rounded up probably. That's the way I read it.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess I don't understand why, it looks like there'd be 40 homes built by June of 2028, but 10 homes every 5 months starting in November of 26.
Yeah, so 18 divided by 5 times 10 is 36. So that's what I got.
18,
It's new math, Ann.
I don't get the.
I see
And I
what they're
do math
doing.
for a living.
I see what they're doing, but it's not presented in a very,
So it takes them
Ma'am.
5 months to build 10 homes. So over 18 months, that's 36 homes. Is that,
because the first from
So it's really
2025.
2 homes a month. It's 2 homes a month.
Well, but the way they're gonna build, they're gonna pour all the slabs, and they're gonna do all the things. They're gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
building consecutively. They're gonna be building 10 homes at the same time through that 5-month
It's not
period.
10 homes a month for every 5
No,
months.
No.
no, yes.
I got another math question.
Okay.
So y'all have
Did you say you had another Delmas question?
math.
Oh, I was
Question.
like mine was?
Math.
It's like, wow, Danny.
I have a little bit more respect for you than that, Ann. Natalie may say that, but not me. Maybe she says it to me. So on page 9 of your packet, it says 50.28 acres for rezone, but in our packet on the work, it says 47.15, which is a difference of 3.13 acres. So if you go to your first slide, it said 47, what's on the agenda packet.
Hey, Danny, I think part of that is where someone pulled information from Walton County, they're not updated yet compared to what you all have in
Okay.
your files. Because we have that property purchased over the years.
Right there.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
X
this-
47.15,
Last year, a year and a half ago.
this packet from Anderson Tate and Carr says 50.28 acres. So that's, just must be a typo on their part, or maybe it was from Walton County's wrong.
It is, but I believe the agenda that Robbie read had these numbers.
Yep. And then when you add everything on the front page of the agenda packet, it comes to 67.92, not 67.69. So it's off a little bit there too.
Okay,
But-
yeah, I mean, the site plan has
Yeah.
the final numbers on it.
Well, and I have
I'm done. That
Well,
was
to
it.
your point, though, half of what I've read, they're only building 16,000 square feet, and the other half, they're building 24,000 square feet
Yeah, I
of
saw
retail.
that, yeah.
So, I mean, which are you building? And Robbie, which one would they need to build to be, yes, that.
So, you want me to answer first?
I think we went over that on the, maybe it was the council, the
Robbie's gonna-
planning commission that asked that. And because at the time we did this, the Tuck Barns,
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry, Robbie. Let Robbie speak first, thank you.
So as far as this project goes, they have a minimum, they have a maximum and a minimum as far as what they can do. So long as they stay in between that, they can do whatever their square footage is allowed. I believe this is closer towards the minimum side of it. They definitely have a lot more that they could build. But in my discussions with the developer, he prefers to, he wants to do a little bit of commercial, but he was more focused on the residential component of it.
But this matches, 16,000 square feet is compliant with the qualifications to be a PUV.
Yes.
Okay.
I got a question, since you're on the commercial. The 25%, 25, how are you going to do 25% on 2 buildings? Or do you have to? See, they're only going to have 2 buildings. So if you're going to comply with the
my
PUV,
intent was to build one 8,000-foot building, even though that would cover 50% of the construction. We're gonna complete one 8,000 by the time they finish the 25% of the houses, so we'll be ahead of the game.
yeah, you will be. Does that work, Robbie?
Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing, so.
Yeah, technically, if he's going to go ahead and build the one building by itself, he would have to come back to the council for a variance because he would exceed the percentages, but there is a way for him to move forward there, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And
Thank
with
you.
regard to the evolution of the site plan, as we worked with the city, as we got feedback, that's how it evolved over time to be different.
Angela, is there any parking by the commercial properties?
There is, I don't have a pointer, maybe I do have a pointer. No. Yeah, if you see I guess the burnt orange kind of color towards the road.
I do.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the parking is around the buildings. It's just impossible to see on that scale.
And what type of commercial are you envisioning?
We were thinking services that meet the needs of the immediate community, right? Maybe a nail salon, maybe, those types of services that would be used by the citizens that live primarily in that area,
Well, that's the plan for PUV, you're right.
right? And that's what it would attract, right?
But there's there's not much access anyway for the homes to get to the commercial unless they leave. Well, I guess they could go back here. I guess they could take the road back around.
Yeah, there will be sidewalks as required.
Robbie, I have another question for you, please.
Yes.
Their own traffic study actually says that, if you look at the numbers, their project at 100% is just short of doubling the traffic. But that takes into no consideration Tuck Farms, which is also going to add an exorbitant amount of traffic. And it's saying that there's a proposed reclassification of Tuck Road from a local to a major collector that would satisfy that requirement. I want to know, one, who does that? what the requirements for reclassification are, and can it be reclassified without supporting infrastructure under that road? So that's a lot of questions, that's a lot of traffic. You're doubling the traffic, but you won't be addressing the problems down the road, and you're not even addressing the problems that will be created, which isn't any of his issue, but it will be an issue for everybody in the area when Tuck Farms comes online.
In speaking with the Streets and Highway Director, we felt that it would have been overly burdensome for them to have to create a 4-lane road that would feed into the 2-lane road that GDOT was doing. Because GDOT's not going to have Tuck Road as 4 lanes. As far as the reclassification, that right now is a Gwinnett County road. It would not even become ours unless this project is approved and we have some further discussions with the county as far as who's going to be responsible for it. So the reclassification would boil down to us, but at this time, Tuck Road would not meet the standards that would be required for this project, because for us, a major collector is typically a 4-lane road with a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. So we just, in working with the developer, did not want to place an overdue burden on them to widen the section of road that's in front of their property only, when that would be the only place where it would be widened to 4 lanes.
Does GDOT know this project is coming? If any, do y'all know if GDOT knows?
My client has spoken to GDOT many times.
So they know.
They're aware.
I'm just wondering why they didn't do turn lanes and, you know, why they only went to 24 feet instead of 28, and maybe not accounted for turn lanes. Because I think when you get both of those in there, if you get them in there, there's going to be a lot of traffic. You can ask anybody that rides on 20 and at night. It's a mess. But anyway, I got a question, Robbie, about the law, the PUV law. It says the property must access a major arterial road.
That's what I was discussing, was the fact that the minimum standards that they would have to meet, that road would have to meet to qualify for us, is the 45 miles an hour and 4 lanes.
So then it would be considered major.
Then it would meet the standards that we would
Okay.
need for this
Okay.
classification.
I didn't know that's what you were talking about.
Well, and that's the reason we worked so closely with the city to reach a compromise
Okay.
on us meeting GDOT's improvements.
Okay, I have a question. Andrea, it says in here that there's a 1,272 square.
Hold on one
Oh,
second. Hold on one second. We've got,
You're not accessing.
Mr. Seifert, could you please get a microphone so we all can hear?
I think there's some confusion on what we're calling, I think you said major collector versus major arterial. Old Loganville Road is a major arterial, and Highway 20 is a major arterial, which is 2,500 to X amount of cars. It starts at 2,500 cars a day and moves up to 10,000, I think. That's the big spread, I believe. Minor is 250 cars to 1,500 cars or something like that. Major goes 1,500 and up. So all the traffic studies we have were done based on the highway. What we're saying is a major arterial, not a major collector. Now, we do not have an entrance on 20, which is why we're having to do all this work on Tuck Road to make it meet a major arterial road with the traffic counts that are there. So it'd be the same width as Old Loganville, same width as Highway 20 that's there right now. I know they're widening it for the 4-lane, but they're tapering it back down to 2 lanes in between the roundabouts up and down Highway 20 from Centerville back to Loganville, Center Hill Church. So I think that's where the confusion's at, what we're calling it. But all the numbers that we've done with our traffic studies is saying that the improvements that DOT is doing right now with the widths, the speed limit is a 45 on a major arterial, but of course with all that traffic, I think everybody's going to agree we're going to need to probably make it 35 because it's such a short distance from the 4-way stop to Highway 20. you can't get going. I mean, with cars coming in and out, you can't have 45 mile an hour in less than a half a mile. I mean, it's just not much room to get going and be able to get going that fast and slow down. It's a short distance. But anyway, I think that's something we looked at, and I understand turn lanes, there's gonna need improvements. Tuck Farms will probably have to do some improvements on their side of the road with turn lanes, decel lanes, things like that. So we're trying to cover our section to meet the codes, and I'm sure they'll have to meet theirs at some point when they go to develop, when they start their development. But I believe that was my understanding, is a major arterial, not major collector.
I would like to just interrupt for a moment and state that the traffic count numbers that he cited is based off of Walton County standards, not the city of Loganville standards. We do not base our criteria off of traffic counts. We base our criteria off of the road dimensions and stuff like that.
Understood. Thank you, Robbie.
Okay. It says, existing conditions, there's a 1,272 square foot residence on the property built in 1946. The property has a barn, a shop, and a lean-to. Do you know where on this map that is?
Mark, where is that on the map?
And are there any plans to preserve that home?
Talking to the owners, no, they don't, that house has been lived in. He has a shop back there, he just uses for working on some cars. But that's an old house, it's pretty rough.
Mr. Seibert, can we get a microphone so everyone can hear? Thank you.
The entrance to that house is at the three-way intersection right now. That would be the main road coming into the property there, the first road coming in at that intersection. But according to the owners of the property that have owned it for many, many, many years, that it's in pretty rough shape. No one's living there. The shop's even in pretty rough shape. So there's no plans on trying to restore it.
Okay. And looking at your plan here, I know Skip already addressed that he didn't see parking on the commercial there, but in the townhouses and throughout the neighborhood, I see no provisions for any overflow parking, and we know people in townhouses love to park in the streets. So there's no provisions for any overflow parking, and I'd like to know the length of the driveways, not only of the townhomes, but also of the single-family homes. How long are those driveways proposed to be?
Well, let's start with the parking. I think if you'll look at the mailbox kiosk, there's extra parking definitely right there, quite a few parking spaces.
Okay.
We put more back by the pickleball court, parking at the pool. I'm not saying there's not some other spots we can't try to find some other overflow parking. I'm planning on leaving, when we finish up on that commercial, which will be a few years down the road, there will be additional parking, or can be additional parking in part of that, because they're not going to be open, first of all, they're going to be typical business hours, most of them. So we can address the additional parking in some areas that we can add some more. Going to the houses, the reason those were designed that way, to be a longer, narrower lot, is so that we can have a good-sized backyard, a good-sized front yard with enough room, and I'm going to say at least 50 feet for four cars, side by side, 2 cars, and then 2 behind it, not counting the 2-car garage. So 6 cars of parking in the single-family homes. Some of the I don't have the exact length on the townhome driveways. I'm sure they'll be typical, but there are a few of those we might be able to extend longer. But if you'll look at the pond, detention pond behind on the main road where the townhomes are in a single row going down, not the cul-de-sac, there's a pond back in there behind one of them buildings. That building would probably be limited, depending on when the design is finished for the pond, how much room we can add to the back of those to extend the lots longer, to make a little bit longer driveway. So that can be worked on depending on what the builder's building. I'm not building those, I'm doing the commercial. So we'd have to find out exactly what length, but I did tell the builders that they will put longer driveways in the residential part that have the 4- and 5-bedroom homes.
When we will go back to the overflow parking, as per this drawing, do you have any idea how many overflow parking places you have provided for on this drawing,
you-
without me sitting here trying to,
Can you count them and see what's there, Andrew?
okay.
You have to excuse, my eyes are not good, so. No, but they're lined, you can see them, let me show you.
No, I don't think you put any hash marks on the parking.
Yeah, right there.
Just a bunch of little lines.
See all those parking spaces there, right in front of the pond, the detention pond there? You come back down here, and you've got parking back here. And you've got pool parking
Yeah, but I
spaces.
I can't see that good.
Some right here, on this section, right here. Can you see it? And then
You
on
think
the
each
back.
line is a parking place?
Y'all can see better than I can.
Wrong glasses,
You want
but,
the magnifying glass?
yeah,
There you go.
they're about,
Take that. Yeah, there, and then you got some.
We think we might have a count, 25 or 24, right,
that looks
Ann?
about, yeah. that
That's
looks
just in
about
one
right.
spot, or is that both spots?
That's
That's the
about
mail
Okay.
kiosk.
Now, if you'll look at the spot that's right, as you're coming in by the commercial property, and you come down to the road that tees, before it goes into the cul-de-sac,
Yep.
right in there would be another spot we could add, off-street parking behind the curb, not like into the commercial property itself, but do the same thing we did by the pond, and add, which would be there'd be more that's in front of the pond there. So it'd probably be another 25 or 30 spots there. So between what's back by the pickleball court, we'd have 50 to 70 parking places extra.
Okay. I have another question. I don't know who this question is for, because I was, in reading from the staff report, it says currently there is no water or sewer to this project. And I guess I would like to know, are the costs of bringing those to this project solely the financial responsibility of the developer?
That's always the case. If there's not water, I mean, there's water in the vicinity that he will be able to tie into, as well as sewer. But as was the case with Tuck Road, with Tuck Family Farm, the upgrades are borne by them, but they will have to pay for some of the upgrades to the pump station. But there's a lot going on, as far as what's going to be required by the city to move when we relocate our lines on 20 when they widen it. There's still a lot of question marks about that, so we're not entirely sure which avenue. He's got a couple of different avenues to move forward with. We're just not sure which one's going to happen until we have a little bit more information from GDOT.
And I don't know if this is for you or not, but we have sewer capacity to accommodate this project
We have capacity at the plant,
at the
yes.
plant, but the pump station,
The pump station most likely
No.
will need to be upgraded. The developer is well aware of that, and again, they're waiting. Them and Tuck Family Farm will both have to be paying for their share of those upgrades.
okay. What if he comes online first? Say it's passed and Tuck Farms is moving forward and everybody's going, but he comes online first and the other project never gets going, is Mr. Streifert going to be responsible for the entire upgrade of it's a hypothetical. We don't know when Tuck Farms is coming online or breaking ground. So at that point, does Mr. Streifert bear the full sole responsibility and then he has to reclaim his money when another project comes online? I mean, how does that work?
That's going to be, that's probably a better question addressed to our attorneys.
Okay.
So whoever's first has to pay for their upgrade. So upgrades are not prorated for the flow. So we have a set fee for whatever pump. So if he needs 200,000, but the grade is 230,000, he pays for the full amount because we can't tailor it. But if they do it at the same time, then we share the cost based on whatever upgrade is for the developers. But whoever's first pays for it unless they're
Okay.
fairly close. You're welcome.
Is it feasible all of these people are going to be working at that spot at the same time? That's kind of frightening just to think about that. GDOT and the two PUVs, is that what we're foreseeing going on?
Well, I can't speak for Tuck Farms, but yes, based on our schedule, we're foreseeing doing our work while GDOT's doing its
Doing
work
theirs.
as well.
It's just a little bit frightening. Anyway, Robbie, I have another question about, at the end of your staff report, you say they don't meet the minimum of the 100 feet of frontage. Has that changed?
again, this, what a lot of our discussion has been centering about is the fact that we have two criterias, two roadways that the PUV has to meet. That Tuck Road does not meet that, but it's extremely burdensome for them to have to, again, widen that, to meet our standards for the major arterial or major collector, I forgot whichever ones it is. It is 4 lanes and 45 miles an hour. But GDOT is only doing 2 lanes and 35 miles an hour on Tuck Road from 20 to the edge of their property. So if we made them do 4 lanes, then it's 4 lanes feeding into the 2 lanes going into 20. And that's really not going to benefit anybody.
No, I agree.
So that's why it was, in discussions with the developer, Cletus and myself agreed that it would be, the city would be agreeable to allowing them just to continue GDOT's improvements on that road, but with the understanding that they would have to do the left turn lane and the diesel lane.
Okay, so there will be turn lanes, or at least one, okay?
But does all of what you just said have to be a variance to a PUV, since it doesn't meet the qualifications of a PUV as far as, does
Well,
that need to be a variance to allow that, or your department's just gonna,
Well, my department, it's not my department, it'd be Streets and
Well,
Streets and
okay.
Highways. The way our ordinance is written is that the streets and staff can be required to do traffic improvements. So the turn lanes and everything like that that's just done at the level. As far as meeting the road standards, I would think that if you guys approve it, I don't know if the variance is required or not. I would think if you guys are approving something, it would be overriding that, but that's why that gentleman to your left over there gets paid.
Do we need that in writing? I think so too.
Or you can make it a condition of the property.
Yeah, I think we need to do something.
I got you.
Well, GDOT's
Lisa's
never going
got
to do
it.
anything until
Of course she
something is
does.
approved or denied. They're not going to go on hypotheticals. So they'll get into it at that point in time, and we'll wait and see, I guess. Any other questions? Lisa?
Any other questions? I got one. It's not so much about roads or any of that kind of stuff.
Just one quick one, Brandon. Is
Okay,
this
sure.
considered a master plan? Robbie, sit down. Is this considered a master plan, a detailed master plan?
The only thing that see missing from this would be the, oh, no, I'm sorry, what are you holding up?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, she
yes.
did the same thing. The only thing that's not shown here would be the supplement showing the house designs and any designs of the amenities and stuff like that, which they did submit with their packet.
Okay, so you feel we're covered on that because it says that's part of the PUV. They've got to submit that master plan to us. We've
That's
got
correct.
it.
And this,
Okay.
this is about the fifth.
Okay. Okay, thank you,
All
Brandon.
right, so a lot of people know I'm a PUV guy. I love walkability, all that kind of stuff. And this is just simple to me. This, to me, might meet PUV on paper, but in my eyes, it does not meet PUV of what it is intended to do. Going and traveling through a lot of them, like Halcyon and Avalon, a lot of them over that way. To me, this just looks like neighborhood with some retail up top. I do like to see like some of the walking trails, but we're talking about getting rid of those. Sidewalks, in my opinion, are a part of walkability, but it's not the whole thing. A lot of PUVs, successful PUVs that I've gone to, the best ones, it's all put together. It's not all separated into different zones. You don't have like a whole block for one type of housing, a whole block for a different kind of housing, and a whole block for commercial. It's all integrated together. And your commercial is, you're right, it does feed off of the residents around it. And I do not reasonably think someone in house lot number, dang, 85, yeah, 85 is going to actually want to walk all the way up there to the orange blocks to go do some shopping. I mean, granted, if there's golf cart trails, there's a lot of stuff that could have been done, a lot of stuff that, in my opinion, yes, it meets PUV on paper, but not in spirit. And that's all I really just wanted to say about this. I understand everything else that everybody else up here was saying. And I just wanted to get that out there just so y'all know what my thoughts were on it.
Sure, yeah, certainly appreciate that, and, you know, it is challenging to design these in a way that is pleasing to everyone, for sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I hear what you're saying, and I've been to those places, and I think there's certainly a place for that. You know, here, I think you can look at this in combination with Tuck Farm. This is going to be kind of a node, right, of these mixed-use developments, one, you know, feeding off of the other. So I think that kind of helps with the overall master planning of the area, right, if you look at both together. But also, again, balance, right? We're balancing some property owners that don't want to be right up against commercial. It's just it's a challenge.
It is, and every property is different. With them being right on the major highway, I can see why commercial needs to be right up there. But at the same time, they had some back in the back with lawn space, with the rollout doors that people can just walk out onto the greens and be able to eat and drink and have a good time. People might not want to leave their neighborhood. A lot of the thought process behind PUV is saving on traffic, because a lot of what you're going to be wanting to drive to is already in your neighborhood versus having to leave your neighborhood to get to 100% of things. I know you're a downtown person, you get it. It's just like in downtown Monroe, and what hopefully one day we'll have here in Loganville, is being able to walk where you want to go, ride your bike where you need to go, and not have to get in your car and go everywhere. And, you know, not being on a grid system, having the cul-de-sacs looks very neighborhoody kind of deal. And I just wanted to say, like the other one, yeah, I get it, they have it too, but they do have integrated different size lots. And I know we had to work crazy amounts on that one too. This one's just a little off the mark to me for what I would consider personally a true PUV.
I think that in a lot of cases, we hear something like this, that the person that wants to build the homes is here to talk, and they vaguely talk about commercial because the person that's going to build the commercial is not here. And then tonight it's just the opposite. Mr. Streifert's here, he's going to build the commercial, and it sounds like multiple builders will build the residential. And I sure wish that who's going to build the residential was here for questions and answer.
Sure, yeah, well, you know, every development's different. Many are this way, where you get the land entitlements and then you find the builder, but they would still be held to every condition that you place on this, the standards in the ordinance, and they're pretty high, right? You can't go too far off grid there. So, yes, I'm sorry that they're not, we're not able to identify them yet, but again, they will be held to your standards.
Well, I can speak from experience. Mr. Streifert builds a very quality commercial property, a fantastic commercial property. And as we've talked about over the last couple of months at these meetings, one thing we are missing in Loganville is places for people to work. And this property is all commercial mostly now. And Tuck Road has tended to become an industrial area. And I think I would really like to see it be more commercial driven and keeping that and so, because you do build a very quality product. I've appreciated everything you've built. And I'd like to see you, since I know you and your work ethics, and we haven't seen who's going to build these, would appreciate more of a commercial presence here myself.
Okay, is there any other questions? All right, so we'll be prepared to take a vote on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to say one thing, if I have just a second. I had, originally I had over twice as much commercial on there, but when I found out how many square feet of commercial was across the street, it just didn't make sense to just keep piling all that commercial. They've got 250,000 square foot of commercial, and so I had to make the decision to say, that's just too much. If I'm going in with 100,000, they got 250,000, just right now, just between what I've got and what I can add a little bit to, we have 2 Kroger shopping centers between the 2 of us. That's the size of the development right now. So I was kind of trying to cut back. I had less townhomes, and as a matter of fact, I think we're only at 2.3 houses per acre, the total project, and I want to say PUV allows 3.1 total. So we're way under everybody else trying to put 6 per acre, 5 and 6 townhomes per acre. We really tried, and I had people approach me for that, trust me. They wanted me to do townhome developments. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I will be personally responsible for this project and make sure, I've interviewed many builders and told them, you're going to do what I want you to do, not what you want to do. So, Melanie, you know how I am about the village at Loganville. I try to build a quality house. Whatever I do, I try to do quality. That was one reason why we didn't try to spread it out, put more buildings and more stuff in there. We tried to keep that green space as big as we could to keep that wildlife and keep everything back behind there as natural as possible, so that it wasn't affecting, the neighboring people that have a lot of acres. But anyway, that was my intent, is not to try to build any more commercial than what we had because of across the street.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is Manor Restoration, Manor Restorations, and we can check the box on a couple things. Robbie, go ahead, if you want to go ahead and read this into record. We've already held our 2 public hearings, so we won't hold a public hearing tonight, but Robbie will read it into record, and we'll let the applicant tell us what's changed from last month.
All right, the case before you is case number R25-001. Manor Restorations LLC files an application to rezone 9.80 acres located on Pecan Street in Loganville, Georgia. Map and parcel number LG040014A00, Walton County, Georgia. The property owner is Marie Womble, David Garrett, and Deanne Miller. The current zoning is R16. The requested zoning is RM6 for the development of a 44 townhome community. This was tabled last month to allow the developer to go back and develop a landscape plan to see if he can enhance some of the privacy in between his project and the already existing homes in the area.
Okay, I would like to invite the applicant up to tell us what's changed.
Good evening, council members. Thank you. What we've done is, when we came through this process, we met with some of the neighbors and made commitments to them of what we would do and what we would put in place. And so what we've taken the time to do is put that onto a landscaping plan, which you see up on the screen, and I submitted a stipulation letter just to kind of help outline those things so we could remember them, document them, and make sure that what we're talking about is actually going to be what happens. And that's what we have put together here. So we talked about putting cryptum areas in the buffers and planting those in the buffers that it makes sense. So some of the buffers we're going to try to keep undisturbed, all of them that we can. And the ones that we can, you can't put a cryptum area in that buffer simply because it won't be able to grow in the woods, if you will. We talked about putting some fences up, and we outlined, I think it's 5 parcels on my stipulation letter, where we'll be putting the privacy fence, the 6-foot privacy fence. We have park benches in 2 places, and we have a trail coming out over onto Pecan Street for the folks to access that. We're showing the dog park and the tot lot. And hopefully this illustrates what you guys wanted to see.
Okay, any questions? No.
We've
It's
already
already
had a
been
public
done.
hearing. All the neighbors seem happy with the proposed changes that y'all made to them?
Yeah,
And-
neighbors are happy. I have two more neighbors that wrote letters of support, Mr. King and Mr. Moss. Mr. Moss just moved into the neighborhood about a month ago, and he saw the plan and wrote a letter of support for it as well. So the neighbors have been real great to work with. I think we've done a good job of coming together and creating something that everybody likes.
Awesome. And they saw this new plan?
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
yeah.
For the church that's there, where is their exit point on Line Street compared to yours?
They got like-
I'm sorry, the what?
For the church that's there. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It is on. I'll sit closer.
I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing.
Okay, the church that's there.
Yeah.
Your driveway out is fairly close to the church, it looks like.
Yes.
But where is the church's driveway where it accesses to Line Street?
So there, yeah, so.
They have one on each side, their driveway comes all the way around the place, so it's the church.
Yeah, it wraps around the church, so yeah.
All the way around the church, so there's one here.
It's like gravel.
It's dirt.
It used to be gravel.
It's dirt.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
So the church is not losing that, if you're looking at the church doors from Line Street, they're not losing that dirt area to the right of their building? Which is-
I'm not sure. I'd have to see what you're talking about. They're not gonna lose any of their property.
It goes pretty tight on this side. It's this side that has all the dirt on it.
Right here.
How wide is your
Has all
street?
the dirt. And this has the,
Where's the church?
it's right here.
Oh, that's the church. Okay, then this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a, their main lot is right here, that big dirt.
Right, and they got,
It wraps around.
Yes, I believe what Marie, the owner of the property, the church does have a large parking lot there, so maybe the dirt lot you're talking about is paved now.
it's not
Not-
paved dirt. If you're looking
Okay.
at the church doors to the left, it is paved. On the other side of the building, it's not.
On the
It
right
looks like
side.
they just kind of
when
come
you're
in off, of- I'm not complaining about it. I just
Right.
want to make sure we're not taking that away, because obviously they're using that dirt.
I don't know if it's appropriate for me to talk, but, when we first put this up for sale, I met with the church, and they knew that that was going, they had rented that from my dad for $100 a year, which he then turned around and donated. So they know that they have lost that, and since then, they've paved this big area to the left of the church. Now, whoever owns it afterwards, can allow them to still use that, but I don't really see, since they paved, that they need that access. They haven't been using that access since I spoke with them.
But
So
they
the
do
ch-
know that there's a possibility that they may lose that.
Oh, they do?
That dirt, okay.
Yes, they
But
do.
it's not
They're
their
aware of the
land, right?
boundaries.
It's not their property.
I
No,
know.
it's not their property.
they're
They've
using
just
it.
been lent it.
They've just been borrowing it.
Is it your property? Whose property is it? Yours. Okay, so it's gonna be part of the, okay.
Mayor, to answer your question, from the church's, center of the church driveway to the property line where the road will be is 130 feet. Estimate.
between the two roads.
From the center of the church's entrance to the property line, which is where the road's going, right near the property line, is 130 feet. So it's gonna be a little bit more than 130.
That's good.
That's my feeling. Not necessarily the development, but our infrastructure.
The only question I have is on, when it comes to the privacy fence, it's one thing to build a privacy fence of 6 feet, but if you grade the land down like this, then the fence gets a little shorter, so people live over here can clearly see over the fence. So is it possible to build up the dirt so you've got a 6-foot, true 6-foot fence?
I would say that everywhere the fence is gonna be going, because especially where you have a smaller buffer, it's gonna be graded down to be pretty level. Michael is the engineer that is gonna be working on this. So if it does need to be leveled up, we could take a look at that. I think the property lays pretty good through there, but if there was this extreme V or something happen where you had a big dip in the fence, we could look at that. As long as it's not a creek, we could, build it up and put a berm there or something. Michael's going to correct me, I'm sorry.
Not correct. That was perfect. That was a good answer. Hi, guys. Just for namesake, I'm Michael Brooks. I work for GMC. We're up at 114 Old Mill Road up in Cartersville, Georgia. To better answer your question, a majority of that eastern property line, kind of the northeastern property line where you're talking about the fencing, the idea, and we actually have a buffer note. You can't quite see it. It's on page north. We just add that where it says buffer note. The idea of these buffered areas is to completely, or to leave it as undisturbed as possible. And what that means is obviously you have to pad these lots out a little bit. From a technical standpoint, what that means is the lots on the north and east side of the road are going to be graded to a pad as high as necessary to limit the amount of dirt required, and therefore the buffered areas are going to be undisturbed as much as possible. In the areas where they are disturbed, we'll be replanting these trees. So we don't want to forcibly fill to raise these fences up, because it's kind of defeating the purpose of these buffered areas. We want to leave it undisturbed. Now, there is one spot that we will not have a portion of a fence, and this is probably more of a zoning or a engineering stipulation, but we are having to discharge off of our site. You're gonna have a drainage easement. Fences are not allowed in drainage easements. So unless you guys allow an aerial fence, we will not have a fence in that one section on the far east side of the property.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mayor, that is all we have tonight for planning and development.
Can I ask Robbie one more question? Robbie, is any road work going to be required in front of the church and this entrance on Line Street?
It's not feasible for them to be able to do the decel lane with the limited amount of road frontage that they have.
Yeah.
We did do a traffic count in the area, and I could tell you that going towards 20, 95% of the people are speeding.
Wow.
Now, that being said, it's the 5 to 10 miles an hour range, not what some of the residents were saying. I believe in a week's time frame, there was one car that was over 65 miles an hour. Everything else was 45 or 35. So that is something for the city to consider, in the fact that we may not be able to do the turn lanes, but the road does meet standards for traffic humps or speed humps, or whatever you want to call them.
Okay, thank you.
That is all we have, Mayor.
Okay. Appreciate you guys being here again. And now that Lisa is finally finished and it's almost midnight, I guess we'll move on to the next one. And we'll move now to Finance, Human Resources. It's Ann Hunsinger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I only have one item on the agenda, and there's nothing in your packet. Staff has recommended that we make an additional payment from the general fund to the pension in the amount of $750,000, just to keep our percentage of the deposits where they need to be. I think Danny or Natalie could answer any technical questions you have about that. And then I would like to put it on consent if everybody agrees. See, Lisa, that's how you go fast.
I'm helping you.
Don't
Anybody
allow
have any-
anybody to talk.
I know, yeah.
Out in the audience.
Nobody talks.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with 750? There was some comment, there was some question, I guess, that we could go a little less, but 750 was the recommendation from staff.
Natalie, what percent will that bring us to? Do we know yet? 92? Okay.
We don't know.
Well, Ann, you know this isn't my forte, so I don't know. But is it because we're coming up short that we're having to take it out of general fund to move it to the pension, or you're just transferring the money?
We're just moving the money over. And
Just moving
actually,
it, okay.
percentage-wise, we are generally ahead of a lot of other municipalities in how much we have pledged and actually in the pension fund. It just keeps us on, it keeps us where we need to be.
Okay, so we're just transferring money. It's not
Correct.
because it came in short, the pension fund
Not at
came
all.
in short?
No, it's
Okay.
an extra payment.
Okay.
Not an extra payment, it's an extra payment.
We do it every April,
Yep.
at least in the last 3 Aprils.
Yep.
That's, I've learned that today. Nothing new.
And that'll be coming out of the reserves.
Kind of think of it like investing in a 401K. We're just keeping the money where it needs to go,
Well, Skip just said it's coming out of reserves, but the paper says it's general fund. Where's it?
coming out of general fund.
Okay.
It's unassigned fund balance, so it's money that's not assigned to a line item. So we're taking it from unassigned to a assigned line item, which is the retirement line item.
So it's not out of the reserves.
Yes, that's
Or
what
it is?
unassigned,
Okay,
that's
all
what
right, gotcha.
unassigned fund balance
Gotcha.
is reserve money. That just means it's not earmarked for any one particular project.
Okay, you requesting that to be on
Yeah,
consent?
if everybody's okay with that, is 750K okay on consent?
I am.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Mayor, that is all I got.
Thank you, Ann. Moving on to Public Safety Committee, Melanie Long.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, we're moving a little quicker now, aren't we? Golly. Okay, now we'll move to Danny Roberts handling public utilities. Is that Brandon? Yes. Brandon, come on up. Public utilities and transportation be Brandon Phillips, replacing Bill Duvall.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have 5 items tonight to discuss. Let me get my stuff together here. First thing on the agenda that we have is the Pecan Street water tank. This is an annual service that we do every year. Utility Services is the name of the company that usually does all the inspections and the maintenance on both of our water tanks. The total cost for this service is $16,861.49, and this is a budgeted item.
I have a question. Because that's the water tank that's right there at Pecan Street behind Walgreens. And when they do this maintenance, they drain that water tank.
Okay.
When is this going to occur, this maintenance?
I don't know. I can follow up with them and I
The
can
reason
follow
I'm
up.
asking is because it normally drains into the creek, and right now there is no access from the side of the road where the water tank drains, where the detention pond's being built.
Yeah.
It drains there, but then it picks up the pipe and goes to the creek, but right now, that's all been, there's nothing there.
Yeah,
So you dump that water, that's a lot of water coming out of that water tank. We need to not have this happen until the detention pond's completed.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it won't, yeah, we're gonna wait till all that construction and everything's.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because that's a lot of water that has nowhere to go.
Yeah, I understand.
It'll be my backyard.
Will they
She
be
said
painting
she's
the
gonna
whole
go swimming
exterior of the
tomorrow.
tank?
I have a schedule in my office. I'll have to look at it and see. Every year it changes, so it just depends on what's on.
They
it.
don't paint it every year, do they?
No, I think it's every 5 years.
No, but they drain it, they go in and they descale the inside of it, and they seal it or do something to it, and then they refill it.
I think they just done that recently, so I don't think that'll be done this
But
year.
are they gonna drain it this year?
Yeah, they usually have to drain it to inspect it, yeah.
And I don't know, this is a question for you. So you know where that drains, right there by the creek?
I do. Mhm.
Are they leaving that there where it's at now, or are they relocating that with the building of the detention pond?
It's gonna remain, it'll remain.
So they're
there.
not disturbing that in any way?
No.
Okay.
You asking for consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Okay.
Good
Very
with
good. Okay, next.
All right, the next item we have is the, for Twin Lakes Booster Station. This is where we get water from Walton County. We had a variable frequency drive go out over there, and this is an emergency. We do need to go ahead and push forward with this if we can to get this repaired. Right now, we have pumps that are down, but this VFD basically controls the speed and torque of the pumps, and it's probably 26, 27 years old, so it's original to that panel over there. So it's just due to age, it has failed.
So it hadn't been done yet.
No, ma'am, no, it hasn't.
It says it'll affect the citizens, well, it doesn't read like that, but that they'll be taken out of service for a period of time, is that?
That one side is out of service currently.
Oh, okay, so there won't be any change to, as far as somebody that lives around there?
No, no, no.
Okay, okay.
Everybody okay, consent agenda?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so third item we have here is for the treatment plant. We have another variable frequency drive that went out just coincidentally. This one is already in motion. This one was due to the urgency. This was an emergency that we had to go ahead and push forward. I got with Danny on this, and I think he may have informed you already.
Yeah, this is the one that we're just ratifying Thursday night.
Yeah, so this is already in motion. We had to go ahead and get the parts ordered and everything, so.
Everybody okay, consent agenda? Okay.
Okay, this next one is the GDOT, the widening project that we have going on 20. This has been going on for 10 years, probably off and on, that we've been dealing with this project. So I guess now they're ready to move forward, and they've asked us to get some engineered drawings showing how we're going to relocate all of our utilities. They sent us out like a packet on the 18th of March, which prompted a meeting. Danny and I and some other staff met with them on the 2nd of April, and they're giving us 60 days to get them some engineered drawings. And basically, we're trying to get Keckenwood. They did send us, I don't know if you guys have that in your packet, but they did send us an invoice, a quote today for $130,300. But we added a 5% contingency, which is $136,815 for this project. And they will help with utility aid as well, as far as trying to get funding from GDOT to be able to help with the project. Do you have any questions on this at all?
Danny, is that the ones you wanted to do it? Keckenwood?
Yeah, Brandon and I talked about getting several different vendors to bid on this. They did the first one, and Bill and I talked about this as well, and it would just make sense to let Keckenwood continue with this.
Can they make the deadline?
Yes, as you know, you was on that meeting with us with the state. The state said they would work with us after my long discussion with the state about my frustration. But yes, they didn't say it was not impossible, but they would be pressured to get it done. But the lady from the state said she would work with us.
Okay, very good.
And Danny is,
Consent?
What comes after this, Danny? After we pay for this, what happens?
Yes, as good as mine.
As far as money, I'm thinking more money than anything.
So this is to actually do a plan, send to the state showing where the utilities will be relocated. If the state doesn't push it back another year, 2 years, 20 years, then the next step would be, once it goes out to bid, then we would have to go out to bid to move our utilities. And that's where we'd come back and ask you to spend a lot of money to move 3 utilities. Those utilities is water, sewer, and sewer force main. They have to come out of the right-of-way currently and go into the new right-of-way for the state when they widen the road.
Wow.
And it's
And a
not
lot of money is,
The first, in 2021, when we did the first submittal, it was $2 million. The estimated is $5 million.
So let me ask you another question. If we're spending the 136,815 or whatever, that has the contingency in it, and GDOT pushes out another year, year and a half, 2 years, will we be required to do new drawings at that point, only if they change their plan, or?
Great question, and yes, you would be if the plan changed. So if we do the drawing and put the right-of-way in X spot, and then the state says, hey, we're gonna change this plan, now we're gonna go a little bit wider, and we have to redesign it, that does happen, and that was one of the questions I talked with the engineers today, I'm sorry, when was that, the 2nd? They said they have actually seen that happen in several cities, and that was my frustration with the state is, we're gonna spend this money, you may do it, you may not, and they assured me that it was gonna be done in 2026. I said, okay.
It appears they're serious this time. It appears.
But to answer your question, yes, that is a possibility.
Okay,
It
but-
could. But I can tell you that changing a project of this magnitude would have to do the whole scope, and I don't think that would be likely as of now, because that would require more right-of-way.
But so, unless it changes, we wouldn't have to do this again, but if they change something, then they come to us and go, hey, well, you gotta spend more money because we changed our mind.
Well, they would say, we need a new plan, and
Right.
then you would have to redesign.
Probably wouldn't cost as much, but who knows?
No, it costs more, because it'll be 2 years from
Well,
now
that
when,
could be. But it's not negotiable.
so Danny, obviously, we haven't had a chance to read this because we just got it, but is this a not to exceed?
Yes, he put in there 136,000, that's what so the total price they'd sent us was 130,300. Brandon put 5%, which brings it to 136,815. That is, if it goes over that, then I have to come back to you for approval.
I mean, typically, haven't we always done a 10% contingency?
Yeah, they're pretty confident with this number. That's why it came today, because they've been working on, because we've been rushing with them since, I think.
Since the phone call.
Yeah. So initially, it was 300,000.
So they're comfortable even given with the potential tariffs, that they still make that number?
Well, this is just design. This is not construction.
so
This is
materials.
just for the
Okay.
Keckenwood to design a plan to shows where the utilities would go.
Okay.
So they take GDOT's schematics with the new right-of-ways, and then they map them up with ours, and there's a lot. This is a big moving part, because we're talking about maybe taking one pump station offline and going to another. It's a very complex plan, because there's two pump stations in play here. There's the library pump station, and then there's a Conyers pump station, and then there's a gravity line that's also on 20, and then there's a 8-inch water main, and that line goes all the way to the S-curves.
Well, let me ask you a question. Now that you're saying all that, and right now they're gonna 4-lane 20 in this area, should we think about future expansion, they might go from a 4-lane to a 5-lane or whatever? Should we not think about going ahead so that 15 years from now, when GDOT comes back again and wants to move or add another lane, now we gotta pay millions of dollars more and move it further? Are we just looking to meet their requirements now, or are we thinking ahead to?
This is to put it in the current right-of-way. If we have to buy land,
Okay,
then you would be facing
right.
imminent
So this is to put
condemnation,
everything.
possibly, yes. This
in
is
the
doing it in their
existing-
right of way.
Okay.
If the council said, hey, the beauty about this is if we go outside of the right of way and they expand it, then they had to pay for it. If you remember the Troy Porterfield line on Highway 78, we did a deal with him. We stuck it on his property, not the state. So if the state ever widens that section, they would be required to move that because it's not in their right of way. If the city council says, hey, we don't want it in the right of way, then you would have land acquisition, and that number I gave you earlier does not include that. And if they don't want to sell, then you're faced with taking that land for utilities. And that's where in the process now with Claude Brewer, or not Claude Brewer, Chandler Hawk Force Main, we're relocating that water line. It's with legal trying to get landowners to agree to letting us put a sewer line on their property. So it's very complex. But this is just for the design to get to them within 60 days.
And this money is coming out of the budget of the water, what
This will come
department?
from the unassigned potentially,
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Brandon? I guess we're gonna put that on consent as well? We've got to do it. Not much option. Okay, Brandon.
Okay, the last thing I have here is the, I don't know, did you guys receive this? Last one, it was submitted late.
The
For the
Covington Street and yeah.
Yes, ma'am, okay. So we have a change order for the Covington Street detention pond. We had an issue with the force main for the Highway 20 pump station. It runs right through there, and when it was located in the wrong spot, and then as the contractor was digging down, he found it and realized it was closer to the edge of the road than we anticipated. So it's actually in the way of the 42-inch culvert that they were trying to put in there, so they have come back wanting to do two 24-inch reinforced concrete pipes to be able to maneuver around it, and that totals $18,304.91 for that change order.
Okay, I got questions. Because I've been watching this development from the beginning. And so, when they first dug it, according to the original plans, they didn't know the forced sewer main was there, so they planned for the 42-inch. Now the forced sewer main's there, they're changing the plan, but to change the plan, they're having to dig the pond 4 feet deeper, okay? So now, the way they've built the wall that's there, the holes that they put for these pipes are in one place, but they're having to go deeper, which means now twofold on this. One, are they gonna add to the bottom of the wall? Because now they've dug lower than the base of their wall that supports everything. So all that water that now, extra water, because it's deeper, there's nothing for it to push against. It's gonna erode from under that concrete wall. Are they planning to add to the bottom of the wall? That's question one. Question two is now the pipes are below the pipes that go to the creek. Are they gonna come back and say, now we have to put in some kind of pump system because water don't flow uphill? How are they gonna pump that water that is so far below the grade of the creek? How are they gonna pump it out of that detention pond up into a pipe to get it down the creek? So those two questions there, so I'll let you answer those.
So I need to give it Jimmy on that, our engineer, but as far as the wall's concerned, whatever they do with that, whatever they do there, it'll have to be up to our city standards and codes. They'll have to do something with the wall there to make it functional. To where-
Correct.
To where it fixes the issue that you,
But it'll be another more money.
I haven't been advised of any more money as
Okay.
far as the wall's concerned. And
All
as far-
right, and my other question is, it's a major question. The plans that CCU is working off of, there's no guardrail. So they've now backfilled in the road. The road is literally level with the top of the wall. At the deepest point, it's a 20-foot drop. At the shallowest point, it's about a 5 or 6 foot drop. Somebody walking in the dark, a car drives off. How are we going to stop people from falling in a 20-foot hole if there's no guardrail? And what's the cost of that guardrail going to be? Because that's not included in anything we've already approved for that detention pond. That'd be an extra cost.
I believe there was a guardrail currently. Wasn't there one there already or not? Okay.
Okay, it's about this long, but you now have a wall that goes from Covington Street almost all the way to Pecan Street with a 20-foot hole. So you had and you didn't have a guardrail on that side of the road.
There wasn't one?
Nope.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I have an answer for that as far
Okay.
as the hole or.
Because
cheapest
I
one.
just want everybody to be aware that
Yeah.
we voted on one thing.
Mhm.
And as I said, this is going to be the never-ending expense. And now we don't have a guardrail.
I can find that. I can get you
Okay.
something by Thursday.
Okay. And then also, I do not believe that the existing plans include any landscaping. So where's the cost for that? Where's the plan or the proposal for that, and what's that cost going to be?
I don't know if it's on there. I haven't looked.
I
to
think
see
it's
if the
just
lands-
seeding it with grass, but I mean, are we going to,
Yeah, they'll have to put some seed and straw out there.
right, but I mean, are we going to put trees to block it from the neighbors that live there? I mean, what's the plan for that?
I'm not. Dan, are you aware of any trees being?
Trees you referring to, where,
I'm just wondering, I mean, a shield, a screen to block the
On which
Myers
side?
house or along the Myers house property? I don't care on my
well,
side.
there's trees still there now. They
I
didn't-
know, but I
yeah,
mean, is there gonna be any landscaping, or are we just digging a hole as a detention pond? I know it's, and
Yeah,
now I think the
mean-
4-to-1 slope is way shot. Have you been over there and looked at it? It's
Mm-hmm.
literally a big, deep hole now. It was when they first started, it was like it should be. Now it's a
Yeah, I mean,
big
it's,
hole.
it's under construction. I mean, when they get done, they don't have to meet the 4-to-1 slope by
Okay.
the design. So all these questions you ask, we'll just have to get with Jimmy. I mean, they're the ones that did the plans, not Brandon or I, but
Right.
we can definitely ask the questions and see, but
Yeah, the
I don't know
guardrail
of
is-
any trees being planted now.
Okay,
Because there is a row of, I mean, undisturbed trees currently there now on her property, but as far as the property, the retention pond is, I don't believe there's any trees, but as far as seeding and straw, they will have to do all that.
okay.
You can't just be raw dirt.
No, it can't be, and they
Yeah.
did say they would seed it and
Yeah.
put the straw down, but I
But
know
it'll be
Skip keeps saying it's gonna be a park, and if it's gonna be a park, you would think there's gonna be landscaping
Real
and,
pretty and, you
well,
know,
that's what I'm saying, I mean,
benches and whatnot.
if we're touting it around town as
I
a
do remember
park,
we talked about that it was going to have a park-like setting.
right, but that's not in the plans. It's just grass with some straw. So I'm just wondering, because that'll be
How
another
much?
expense.
Yeah. And didn't you say the streets were gonna have to, something, 'cause
Yeah, we'll have to
all that
repave the
heavy
streets.
equipment?
Streets have all been destroyed. They're completely, so is that, will we be getting a
I
quote
don't
from?
know of any streets being repaved except for where they did the tearing up, yeah, the
I
cut
got a
through.
picture. They broke off the whole, Bobby Boss
Yeah.
The one that goes from Covington Street up to 78, probably about 2 feet of that road's been broken off.
I mean, they'll have to fix that. I mean,
Right.
we gotta understand this is a major project, and they're not done yet. So once they get done, there'll be a punch list item that we'll have to walk through with our engineer and say, hey, you tore this up, you need to fix this. So you're just getting a glimpse shot of under construction. So let's get with the engineer and answer the few questions we have,
Okay.
and we'll see. But anything they tear up will have to be certainly fixed.
Okay.
And isn't our plan that it's gonna be more like a traditional park than what most people look at as a detention pond? of
Yeah, it's
old?
not gonna have the chain link fence or the, the 2-to-1 slope. It's a massive 4-to-1 slope. That's why they took so much land. It'll be, it'll take years for the grass to grow. Now, if y'all tell me to go buy sod and sod it, certainly we can, but that's just gonna increase the cost. But the main purpose of this is a retention pond. I didn't think it was gonna be used as a park, so I don't know where that came from, but, you can certainly use it when it's not with water, but
We did discuss
it's
that.
made, yeah, I know, it's made to drain, it's not made to hold water. It's made to drain, so when it's not raining, it will be a 4-to-1 slope with grass, but far as trees and amenities out there, no.
Well, don't eat oranges and grapes on your picnic table because they're gonna roll off because everything is.
We're not
I'm
gonna
just,
have a
I'm
picnic
just telling you,
table. No.
while it is a gradual, more gonna be a more gradual than a deep hole, you're not gonna be able to have picnics
Well,
over
it
there.
needs to be pretty,
Yeah.
because it's kind of in the center of town, so, we just don't want a hole there.
I thought when we talked about this, we talked about amenitizing it and having it as a park-like feature in downtown with grass. I thought that's why, because then we send the trees to the mill so they could be turned into furniture, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they could go back out there.
Yes, there will be benches, those trees, yep, been milled, there will be some benches, but far as having stuff in the middle of the pond, far as trees, no, that
Yeah,
was
I'm not
never
saying
designed.
trees and
But
stuff, I'm saying
like
just-
benches on the outside, yes, they're, we've already got them milled, we spent money to have those trees milled. They're currently drying, so once that's done, we'll build some benches and put them out there, but far as it being like a destination park, no, never had intent of that. Now, if you wanted to, we can,
No,
but
we
there's
don't.
certain restrictions you have to
No,
have
we
for a
don't.
retention pond.
I don't think any of us envisioned Destination Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But we did envision a more
Like a
attractive.
grassy area for people to play at,
Yes,
when
yeah.
it's not raining.
When it's not raining, yeah, it'll have
Yeah.
grass. It may take it some time to grow, but it'll be grass.
So it'd be grass, we'll have some benches out there, place
On
you
the
could go
outskirts,
eat.
yes, but not in the
Yeah, not
pond
in the
because
middle of the pond.
right now with 4 inches of rain, it's deep as Melanie
Yeah,
told me
it's,
today.
I would say out in the deepest part, where it's rained. Actually, if you wanna come by tomorrow, I gotta get somebody to film me. I've got a float. I'm gonna swim tomorrow. It's about 7 or 8 feet
Well,
deep of
Lee's
water
got a
right now.
film on Concerned Citizens. He
Do we-
films it
Yeah,
all
I'll
the
get Lee to
time.
film me.
I'll just wait and watch Lee's video.
Well,
But again, when they put these new pipes in, Danny, it's like Brandon, you're talking, the 24-inch pipe. They're gonna put those in, dig out, put them in and cover them back up, right? I mean,
they go under the road, they're gonna cut the road. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is where they're coming, they're gonna have to pump the water up to get to the creek level. Right now, where the pipes are, they go uphill.
Have
And water don't flow uphill.
extreme confidence in Jimmy Parker with precision that they're not gonna pump water up a hill. So we'll just, obviously there's something that I don't know, that Brandon don't know, but that's why we pay Precision to do this. So
Yeah.
we'll get with him tomorrow and give us an answer and hopefully give a report to you.
Okay, thank you.
okay, are we putting this consent agenda? Everybody okay? Okay. And you got one more,
One more.
okay?
Wow, Brandon, you've been busy.
We did better with Bill.
Really?
The last one we have is we had 4 projects going on, some drainage projects for stormwater, Holly Court being one of them. The Dickerson Group, they're the ones working on this project. And in the process, we had a drainage pipe that they were gonna replace, but in the initial plan, they were just gonna salvage the catch basins. There were 2 catch basins that connected on each end. But as they got in there, they realized they couldn't get the pipe out without damaging the catch basin. So Dickerson Group had some catch basins on the yard at their facility, and they said that they would just charge us for the catch basins, but not labor or anything like that to put them in. And according to Jimmy, the engineer, they were able to reduce the pricing on those catch basins versus us going and buying some and having to wait on them, to be able to get delivered, so.
This will put it as concrete?
Yeah, this totals $4,000, this change order.
Well, that was nice of them.
Yeah.
Seems to me.
Everybody okay for consent agenda? Okay. Thank you, Brandon. Anything else? You got anything else, Brandon?
No, sir.
Good. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move to Public Works Facilities. Patty Wolf.
Oh, that's me. Trash time. Public Works trash report, total litter pickup, 270 pounds, 10 bags. Whew. Public Works chipping report, total stops 518, total tons 23.5. This time of year, I think they get
Wow.
a lot of chipping. Down my street, there was a lot. We thank you, Jeremy, wherever you are. We appreciate you and your team. That's it. Thank you, Skip.
Okay, thank you, Patty. We move on now to Economic Development. Brandon Whitfield.
Thank you, Skip. I do have one actual item tonight. It's the same, it's the IGA with Walton County for West Walton Park that we use every year. Nothing has changed on it from the years past, other than the date and time, stuff like that. It's to use for the Independence Day celebration. Any questions on it?
There's no cost, correct? Okay, that's a good one. And we appreciate the county letting us use that. It makes life a lot easier.
And this will go before them at their next meeting when, once we get this signed.
Okay, consent agenda? No cost, we take that.
All right, well then, up next, I know the last few weeks, and I know it's late, so please bear with me, everybody. I always seem to go last, and it's downtown development. I get really excited about it, but it always goes last on the agenda. We've been talking about sidewalks downtown. I know that is a big need that a lot of us have talked to a lot of citizens about and stuff like that. I would like to at least discuss with council to see your thoughts about coming up with some kind of sidewalk plan for downtown, even if it's something like budgeting X amount a year or something like that, so we can go ahead and get a plan and go ahead and map out where we would like to start these sidewalk projects and what the end goal would be. I know some roads would have to be adjusted as well with curb and gutter, most likely. But this is just a starting point. This is just to give staff a direction to go on, so then they can get us the stuff we could need to maybe make a better decision on this, or even just get the ball started. I brought this up to Danny the other day, and I don't know if you want to say what you were telling me about, but we actually do have other pieces of land in downtown that connect, that we could possibly even do like a trail through, like a, can you kind of explain what that was? I really like the idea.
I
but you
wasn't
know I
gonna say
like
nothing, but
crazy
you already
ideas.
said it, so.
But where is it located exactly?
It's an alleyway between Line Street and C.S. Floyd.
So that could be like a little beltway right there through the middle of town, like a good walking path for everybody to be able to share, to be able to get to downtown easier. That could be something that we look at. We do have a map out that the DCA came and did. They came and mapped all the areas that we had sidewalk.
we did
and it
that.
also shows where we don't have sidewalk.
The city engineer did that, not
The city engineer
DZ,
did
yeah.
that. Oh, okay. My bad. City engineers did that. So we do know where we do not have sidewalk. So I would think maybe some discussion about what's the best use of the funds to start off with, maybe starting with C.S. Floyd and working back from C.S. Floyd, something like that, since that is kind of the problem area that we keep hearing about. But also think about, if we're gonna put a sidewalk, it makes more sense to me to put them to where the most people would use them first, and then go to other areas after that. Like, if we're gonna put the expense for 6 people to go down it versus putting the expense to have 80 people walk down it. But I really wouldn't know the best place to start on that. But I wouldn't even wanna waste the city's time with doing a lot of that research. I'd like to hear from the council, see y'all's thoughts on it. before anything.
I have two thoughts. My first one, when you're talking about where to start, we'll be voting on a project for Line Street Thursday. You already approved a project on Line Street. They both have sidewalks that'll go to nowhere. If you're gonna build sidewalks, I say you start there.
Yeah.
Okay, but I know the DDA was talking about hiring a grant writer. Is there grants that are available for sidewalks?
I thought that question might come up. I asked Robbie about that, and I've also asked Danny about that. We have talked with that lady. I don't know if Danny has gotten back with her yet, but there is potential for that as well, and other grants. I believe before this meeting, Robbie was talking to me something about T-grant, something I haven't heard of before, but it's something that could be utilized. CDBG could be used for, especially on the Gwinnett County side. If we have any area that isn't already sidewalk friendly in the CDBG area, there are grants available. I know the T-Mobile Hometown Grant is all about connectivity, and in there, I'm not a grant writer. I can't really speak to which grants that we do apply for, but that is, especially in the area I would like to dive deeper into.
Well, and then sidewalks, is there any requirement for property acquisition, or everything is done within the right-of-way and the city has the right to just go in and put sidewalks? Like, if you came through my yard and you wanted to put a sidewalk, I might have a problem with that. So would you involve, like, if you're gonna do Line Street, would you, the people that, and the businesses that are there, would you have a meeting and talk to them and see how they feel? Or do we have to acquire the property, which go, hey, you getting a sidewalk, like it or not? Do you know what I mean?
I'll say, me personally, I wouldn't be having those meetings, but that'd be something like,
That's what
having
I'm
this
saying, though. Yeah.
discussion was what's
Don't we
needed
have
so we can
right-of-way,
know.
though?
That's what I'm saying. So
Why do
you just put them in the right-of-way? Is that all you do?
I don't know.
But do you ask the people, hey, we're gonna be putting them, I know it's the right-of-way, but you just do it anyway? You just
Yeah.
roll over them?
If we're in the right of way.
I think you'd have to
And
advise
I
them.
think, I can't imagine
Be
anybody
fair.
not wanting them, quite frankly, because.
Also, you're going to have to have some curves and gutter too, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's where it gets
It's
real
expensive.
That's
expensive.
what I say, so.
So that's why I would like to at least know which way the council is leaning on this. If we want to seriously and make our downtown walkable, sidewalks is a part of it. It's not the whole part of it, like I told the gentleman earlier, but it's a good place to get started, get people moving downtown, because I know people have to drive even from the other side of Line Street to downtown because there's no safe way to walk there. Especially, especially with me being there most days now, right there on Main Street, I get people that try walking. I had one guy walk with his kid in the stroller all the way there. He goes, well, it's good once you get there because there's some sidewalk. But before that, I'm walking the street. But he's younger. He's able to dodge out the way right now, but,
Do we have a width requirement in our,
it's 5 feet.
okay, so Line Street, when you think about it, it already has the most mishmashed pieces of sidewalk everywhere. So it wouldn't be just connecting them, because some of them, were they before our 5 foot wide? So do you tear that out, or can you add to it?
You can
No,
taper.
if we cross the street, we put a 5 foot into a 4 foot, it just
Okay.
merges back, but.
I'm just
if you build
looking at
them now,
what would
they
be
have
the
to
most
5 foot.
cost-effective thing, if you're thinking about doing it, but you're gonna have a 4 foot section, then a 5 foot section, then a 4 foot.
That's
you know,
correct.
That's what I'm saying. So would you, in your plan, I mean.
Well, it's not my plan, it's our plan.
I
We're
know, but
coming
I'm
up with it
saying,
right
like,
now. That's what
but
I'm
your
trying to figure
economic
out.
development, and I didn't know if
No,
you had
it's-
an idea.
It's still, we're still a
Yes,
council.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, yes, 5 foot the whole way. But if we don't have the money to do 5 foot, right
Right.
now, we do the taper, and that's
Right.
something we can always come back to later and pour the extra foot.
Right.
You might see the taper line from the original one, but that's always something that could be looked at. That's why I want to bring it before council before anything. I want to get council's thoughts on it.
Are you asking council, do we want to spend the money on sidewalks or spend the money on a grant writer to fund, a grant to fund this?
I'm asking for anything I can do to get sidewalks in downtown
Well,
Loganville.
is that not another project we could give the DDA? Let them do the footwork and the legwork.
I love the DDA. They're good people. They do a lot of good work. They do not have staff. And I think this might be something they're already focused on a lot right now. I wouldn't like to overburden them with things, especially because this is gonna require a lot of financial, ability that they do not have. Even if they go and do all this, we're still gonna be the ones footing the bill for it.
Right.
I don't think our city staff has the time either.
No.
I don't think we have
Not
enough staff.
when we're fixing to
take
start
it.
writing it.
Have you talked to Monroe? 'Cause I remember a while back, they had a big push and put in a lot of sidewalks.
We're starting it tonight. That's something
Okay.
we could definitely do.
Yeah, maybe get some advice.
I do know,
We are.
Social Circle, what was it, 3 years ago, used all their CDBG to do their connection street in their downtown. So I do know CDBG can be used for that. Like I said, I'm not a grant writer. It's one of those things, I think there are grants out there.
Everything you're saying, I would lean more towards working with a grant writer who has experience and has the time to put into this, to find these grants. The grants are out there.
But I don't think we can rely solely on grants to get this project done, because it is a big project. Even if we come up with a plan that might be even a 5 to 10-year plan and say we would like to do X amount of sidewalks a year, or we spend X amount of money a year, something like that. So one day it gives us a roadmap to success instead of just one time, hey, let's try and get grant writings and do what we do.
Piecemealing it, yeah,
Yeah,
without
I'd
a
rather
plan.
go ahead and have a
Don't
greater
want that.
plan. And
So-
even if that is, even this year, just coming up with the plan,
Yeah.
so then we can,
Are you wanting all the streets, even the little, are you wanting
Well-
major ones, or
it's,
have you thought through?
yeah, so in the downtown district that goes from CS Floyd all the way to Main Street, I won't say we would really need to go, like, we could focus on that first and maybe make that like the 5-year plan, and then maybe the greater 10-year plan
Then
would be
go out.
connect, I kind of call it the triangle that goes all the way to, we could do that.
Eventually Line Street is
Yeah.
what you're saying, just move out from CS Floyd.
Yeah.
So you're wanting to go, or you're thinking, not that you want to go, you're thinking, do all your major roads, and then that be your first phase or step or whatever, and then later you come back and you put your connector streets?
You can.
Like Fair Street, Beacon Street?
We can, or we could go ahead and do one connector street, just go ahead and make it safe for people to walk down CS Floyd so they can get there safely. So even if it isn't doing all of CS Floyd, because we want to have at least one walkable connector to downtown currently. And then we could always do another connector and then finish CS Floyd. But I'm also not an engineer.
Well,
I
that's
don't
what I'm saying.
understand
Is
the
there go-
mechanics
yeah.
of it. This is just the start. This is
Well-
something that we could.
Is this somebody you have to hire somebody to write a plan to do that? And then
Yeah.
what would the cost of that be? I mean, it's, it's quote
You have
unquote,
to write a plan
in
that goes
everybody's eyes it'd be
bathroom. Well, that's
another
why-
study. That's what I'm saying. So I mean,
Well, you see, that's why I feel like if we don't have a
Right.
plan, then how do we get started?
right.
So we as a council, we don't have to go get no study. We could just say, hey, we just want to do CS Floyd. Go do CS Floyd, Danny. Tell us how much it's going to cost. But I do think it would be smart to see the cost and maybe have a long-term plan, because I do not want to put us in a financial burden. And I know sidewalks can be expensive,
How expensive are
especially
they?
5 foot.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Very.
The sidewalks that I gave him was $64 million
For what?
to fill the
Where?
gaps for downtown
Connect
Loganville.
all the
Well, but
streets.
hold on, can we not start?
Let's do it, let's do it.
Can we not start with like a per foot
need
cost for sidewalks?
That's what I was wondering. What's
Like,
the
I
per
mean,
foot? Yeah.
Like, it seems to me if we started with a per
Yeah,
foot
it's-
cost of sidewalks and 64 million represented X number of feet, and then we said, and then Brandon, like, if you drew like a downtown little structure and said, we start with this line, and this line is 800 feet, and then we did this line,
Yeah.
and then we kind of divided up and said, okay, well, we'll put $200,000 a year towards sidewalks, and so to get the main arteries put in, it's gonna take
Yeah.
us 7 years.
The issue you have is the cost is drainage. So you just can't do a section of drain. It has to be the width of the drain for the curb and gutter. So you
Yeah.
can't just do like 800 foot of curb and gutter and then leave it to nowhere. It has to drain. That's the major cost, is the curb and gutter that you had to put in for the sidewalks. If we were just laying sidewalks with no curb and gutter, it'd be, just be
No,
easy.
I get that, but curb and gutter plus sidewalk, we have to be able to get some sort of X dollars a foot.
I agree.
Yeah, you'd have to do from a point A to point B that where it would properly drain, not just in the middle
Oh, so,
somewhere.
yeah, okay, because its drainage is different in
Yes,
every
it has
area,
to
so
go
it's
to
not
a-
like a one-size-fits-all.
Right.
Do we
Gotcha.
have
But
to
can we
do the
get an
whole
average?
street?
Like, sorry, Patty.
No, I think I interrupted you, but do we have to do the whole street? Is that basically what you're saying? We can't do
No, I'm just saying it
800
has to go
feet?
to a point where it can properly drain, where it can't just, the pipe's gotta connect to something and dump to something. So it just cannot be from, here to here, and then the water just goes where. So I will see if there's I know there is a cost per foot. I'll
Yeah,
have to
there's
see if
gotta
I
be
can
like
get
an
that.
average where some might be cheaper and
What
some
I
might be
think
more.
Brandon's trying to say is this is my conversation to him. I have only so much money for transportation. Do you want me to do roads, or you want me to do sidewalks? Because I can't do both. We just don't have enough funds.
Right.
Maybe planning for next SPLOST. Hey, next SPLOST, we're gonna do nothing but sidewalks, and we've done that before.
Right.
And that money goes to sidewalks. Or T-SPLOST, if, the conversations come up about T-SPLOST, we're gonna apply for a T-SPLOST. Those are I think he's trying to refer to as a plan. But, the mayor and the council said, hey, Danny, we wanna put $500,000 in the budget every year to do paving. We got to get the roads paved. So we've been doing that. But if I rob Peter to pay Paul, we're not,
I mean, I wouldn't even
Can
know
you
the
tell
bid
us how
number.
many feet was the 64 million? Like, not
it's
right
on the
now.
plan. I have to look and see.
But could you just send it? I'd be
Yeah, I'll see if
interested.
I'll send it to him, yep.
Probably a dozen projects.
It was north, it was this side of Main Street and this side of Main Street, and that showed all the end gaps. So all the downtown
Everything
corridor.
You gave me the other day, you just put in council's box or email them,
Yeah,
because I'll probably forget to bring it again to the next meeting.
but that was from 2019 as well.
Yeah, that's 2019.
4 foot.
So now it's probably 190 million.
That would definitely put us in my.
But yes, I think that's what he's trying to say is, a plan is, would you like to see your transportation money?
Well, then I guess, too, if we're gonna do it, and you're saying we need an engineer, 'cause you gotta know where they're dumping and all that, what would that cost? I mean, we're looking at, they're gonna charge $136,000 just to tell us where to remove stuff on 20. So what is it gonna cost for them to tell us where sidewalks go and how much it's gonna cost? I mean, I don't wanna just keep spending money and then we go, oh gee, that's too much, and let's just forget about sidewalks for now. So I would be more comfortable
Yeah, me too. If
with
we had
a,
numbers.
putting, with that, or having a plan, like putting so much towards it every
Yeah,
year.
that's all I
I
am,
feel
too.
better than that, rather than just, oh, we're gonna do all this, but maybe we can't do it for 3 years because we're putting that money aside, and it has to
Well,
ball
let
up
me
till
say
we
this
have
too.
enough.
We've also talked about that the whole Main Street thing will be built out in phases, at the library. The retention pond has to come before the new town green. The new town green would be the next phase. So now we're throwing sidewalks in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot to do.
With no money,
It's gonna take a lot
With
of
no plan.
commitment
and,
to
well,
get
and no money.
downtown right.
Yeah.
But I believe you'd have to start with Pecan Street and Covington Street first. When the money comes available, you move down to Fair. How much, if we do the new park, if that's what the council decides, how much of that will be required to be sidewalked? A lot of variables.
Well, may I ask you why you would start with Pecan and Covington when you're putting the most houses, the highest density is on Line?
Only
know.
because they did
Because you're gonna
it,
go to the library so much.
because they did into the center of current
My house is gonna
downtown.
become a tourist destination, just so you know.
Yeah.
Only because that's the streets that come to the center of downtown currently.
Well, they do, but there's,
That's
I mean,
all.
you're servicing on my street right now, there's what, like 20-something houses, but Line Street, see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why I said, see, as far
You
as
gotta
Line Street
service the
area-
most people. It doesn't make
Yeah,
sense
but if you
to,
look at, there's like 80 people in the area versus 6 people in the
Correct,
area.
right.
It's better like cost per person.
and
to
I do
that.
understand that Covington and Pecan go directly to downtown,
But who's
but
gonna
that's where
use
the
it?
fewest people live.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are we gonna,
And we could
you
I
gotta go where
support
the
the need for
density is.
sidewalks. I don't know how to get it done.
I would
Since we
think
can't
those-
agree on where to start the
I would
sidewalk,
think, I would think those
maybe
How
people,
about
we
we
should-
wait until I can get some more stuff? Y'all read what Danny sent me, and
Yeah, sure.
let us try and canoodle some stuff, or I don't know the best word for it is, but try and just come up with a starting point. Now that we know that we actually do want to actually look at this, let's come up with a plan for the solution.
Well, Patty and I had a plan.
What's
We're gonna
that?
take popsicle sticks and write the street names on them and stick them down in a pot, and you just pull one. And that's where we start.
That's where we start.
That's where we start.
That sounds like it worked.
Sitting and going back
I
and
will
forth with it.
say, when, one of the trainings I went to, they used pipe cleaners. They had a fictitious town, and they just put it down, they had pipe cleaners. They said, you have X amount of money to spend on sidewalks. And this pipe cleaner costs this much. And then we had to plan out the sidewalks with those, pipe cleaners. So we could actually have a session where we could sit down and put numbers, pen to paper numbers about, all right, we have X amount of people here, X amount of people here. The sidewalk from there to here is X amount of feet, stuff like that.
We
And
just
I'm all
have to be
down
able to
for
explain
stuff
it to
like
the
that.
citizens, as long as we can explain. And the one thing that concerns me, if we do a sidewalk here and then we go and do it over there, that at some point we stop and everybody doesn't get a sidewalk, and then that's where the problems tend to come in.
That's why I would think it would have to be an actual, like, so many year commitment.
Yes, I agree.
We
because
need a start
Otherwise,
point,
you know us, we'll
and
stop.
we need an end point.
Yeah.
I just feel like we have talked about the plan, and now somebody said squirrel. We go from doing the library to the retention pond to the Newtown Green. Somebody said squirrel, now we're doing sidewalks.
Well, sidewalks bring everything
We're
together.
confused, Lee. We're, what are they, conflicted people.
Make a note, Danny, Melanie does not want any sidewalks. She does not want her house
No,
to be
I
a tourist
don't.
attraction.
I don't want to be a tourist attraction.
Yeah. Make a note.
I already am.
But you're by the pretty
may have to put a
detention
bridge over.
pond, Melanie. That's gonna be a tourist
So,
attraction.
I do got Mater out
So,
there.
yeah,
I'm
I-
trying to attract some
so I
sales.
think I got enough to go on for right now.
Okay.
I'll come back Thursday and we can talk about some more if we want to, and then it might go into next month or something like that, so we actually can get a better feasible plan, or at least, something closer.
Did you say that Danny sent you an email you're going to share with us? Or you're going to summarize it?
Yeah, it was the.
Would you print it
was
out and put
the-
it in my box, please? Thank you.
Exactly. It was the city engineered where we don't have sidewalks
Okay,
and where
cool.
we do
Yeah,
have
you can send that.
sidewalks.
About 3 or 4 pages.
Because once you look at that, you're like, yeah, we do not have any
Oh,
sidewalks
he's
in
gonna go do it
downtown.
now.
You have anything for Christie, sir?
Christie, you want to talk about anything? Want to talk about your, the awesome event that just
That
happened?
was awesome, Christy. You did great. You and team.
Get you a microphone. There you go.
Hello, council. Yes, Saturday did turn out to be a great day for us. We had over 16 vendors signed up to participate and had 14 show up, so I was very proud of that. Thank you to Melanie. She was a good team player, came out with costume and took photos with attendees.
I thought it was somebody that came up from Mexico.
They did. But no,
Listen, Christy promised me if I wore that for 5 minutes, I'd lose 50 pounds. I need a refund because I only lost 25, okay?
it's okay.
Take it where you can
But
get
it really did turn out to be a fun day, and I'm hoping that we can turn it into something bigger next year. And with that being said, we're ready to kick off May. We have an event every weekend except one, so starting out with the car show on May 3rd, so we're excited.
And the first concert is,
The third Friday of May, the
And the band
16th, I
is?
think. A-Town A-List is the band, so yeah, it's a party band out of Atlanta. Really excited about it, so should be a lot of fun.
A-Town A-List. Then the Embers show up in June.
Yes.
That'd be
That's the
fun.
mayor's thing.
That'd be
It's the
fun.
mayor's band, yes.
You have any of these cards for the
I do,
other
I have some
council?
back here on the
Back
back
there in
table.
the thing.
Okay. that's
Thank
it.
you, Christie.
Thank you.
And that's all we have, Mayor.
Okay, very good. Danny knew his time was coming up, so he left. I don't know what to do now. Does our city attorney have any updates?
Mayor, I'm very happy to announce that Mr. Rosenthal worked extra hard last month to give me an easy month, so I have nothing for you this month.
Well, that's good. I bet he's on vacation.
Do you
That's a
have
good
any
thing.
updates on the H Bill 745 or 92 or however many we've got out there now?
Yeah, there's quite several. No, not since Paul talked about it last time. We do have it as one of our kind of alerts in our legal system, so that as it continues to progress and if they make any changes, it shoots us an alert and lets us know. But I have not seen anything, and I think that both Paul and I have those alerts turned on. So no update as of right now.
I've been trying to keep up with it, and if I'm reading it correctly, and that's a big if, because it's very complicated, they keep going back and forth. But the 92 and the 745 appear to have been approved and gone forward for the governor's signature. Does that ring true with what you
I don't know about that. I'd have to look into it, to be honest.
It's okay, because they're going to do something else.
Well, you're not wrong there.
The
But
last
no, I'm happy
update
to
I
look into
saw-
it and then get back to you.
Yeah, the House had approved it, I know that, and it was going to the Senate.
It went
I
to the
don't know if they
Senate.
got it in there and voted on it or
If my
not.
information is correct, it went to the Senate, they approved it in both cases, and it's gone for the governor.
And we thought they would, because that's sort of a courtesy when,
Yeah, but you know, y'all sent that letter. I don't know what effect that letter will have on the 745
I hope
House
it has a
bill. It
lot.
may have an adverse effect, who
I
knows?
hope so.
The governor may not sign that.
Yeah, I mean, who knows on that?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I've seen articles around both House bills, but again, I don't have a exact answer for an update on where they stand, but I can get you one.
Thank you.
and all the
Thank
cities
you
sent
very
that
much.
letter. All the cities sent that letter.
Yes, they did, in unison, I think, or
Yep.
kind of in unison. It said basically the
All
same
coordinated,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, coordinated might be a better word.
Yeah.
And that'll probably have some force, because it's strictly about our, the 745, they have, the other cities have the other numbers, but, so,
We shall see.
yeah,
This is
we
full
will.
bear that we tried.
I just wish it'd have been by the bill when it started. But
I know.
That's life.
I know.
Okay, Brandon, Robbie, y'all have anything to report for Mr. Roberts? Okay, I guess we'll move on past his. Do you know if we have any executive session tonight?
According to Danny, I asked him that question earlier, and he said we do not.
I didn't think we did. Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Huh? Public comments? Absolutely. Where's the public?
Where's the public?
Linda, I think you have something.
I like that jacket.
I was really excited when we had all the people here together. So, most of you already know about this.
Yeah, turn your mic on.
Crank it up.
The meeting went too long. Batteries died on us.
That sounds good. Try this again.
Okay. Can you hear me on this one?
Yes.
Okay. So most of you already have probably gone down 78 in front of the American Legion and seen pinwheels up for our child's voice. So, of course, this is our 14th annual fundraiser. I have raffle tickets to sell. I think most of the people in here have bought one. But if you have not bought one, I would like to sell you one. They're $20. There are 4 different places that you can choose from, or 4 different prizes. Number 1 is 5 Atlanta Braves tickets. Number 2 is 3 nights at Hilton Head. Number 3 is 2 Georgia football tickets at the 50-yard line. And the 4th one is a Blackstone griddle. So there's some really good prizes. They're going to do the drawing on April the 30th. So if you want to support them, I would love to sell you a raffle ticket. And if you don't want to buy a ticket but just want to donate some money, you can go online at A Child's Voice and put in donate, and then you can just donate money to them. And I know they'd appreciate it. So it's a good cause, and they do a really good job. They've added some new things this year. Now they have a counselor for all the children that come through. Before they were having to send them someplace else, but now they're not having to do that. So now the child comes into their facility and they're there for everything. They're there for the examinations, for the interviewing, for the counseling, for everything that they need. So it's a lot less stressful on the children to be able to go to one place and not have to go through several different agencies. So that's all I
I
got.
think Paul said his replacement would take $100 worth.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Paul bought $100 worth last year.
He unfortunately did not leave me with his credit card.
Okay, well, I'll just have to get him. Is he going to be here on Thursday?
He will not. He is out of town this week.
Bring your money on Thursday. I'll be here.
I can do that.
I will say A Child's Voice is a great organization.
Yes,
They
it is.
really partner very well with all of our agencies, our police agencies. Without them, the kids that unfortunately go through what they have to go through would be in a lot harder position than they would be. So it's a very very good program. So thank you to A Child's Voice for doing everything y'all do.
I would think a reporter worth his weight would buy a couple anyway. What do you think, Jim? What? You don't ask what, just give her $40 and she'll take care of it for you. Okay, anything else?
Patty, just looking at it, it does look like, yeah, the Senate passed that on the 28th of March, just as I look at it, which immediately gives me some doubt as to why we pay so much for our legal software. But, yeah, from what I see right here, yes, March 28th, it passed in the Senate.
Okay, so now it is waiting on the governor's signature.
That's what it seems like, yes.
And how long does he have to sign before it's considered law?
Pretty good while.
I don't know that answer.
Find anything on that, because they just say he has to sign it, and if he doesn't, it automatically becomes law. Sign it or veto it. And if he doesn't, it becomes law, but they don't tell you how long he could have 2 years.
No, I don't know that answer, but I can get it for you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm thinking I was reading 45 days.
Did you?
Mhm.
45,
That's,
a long time.
well, not in government.
No, you're right.
He has a lot of time, he has a lot of things to sign.
Okay, anyone else from the public would like to speak? Keith? Okay, with that said, we'll move on. We need a motion to adjourn, please. We have a motion, we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting is now adjourned.